Good. Okay, great. Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, good. I just got loosen up a little bit. Spine gonna like balance. And then take it and some back. Very good. And to the sides. And into rotation. And taking it into an open and closing. And just moving freely to any direction. Mix them all in. Very good. And stick it. Nice deep breath in. And nice long exhale. Down, hinging down. And coiling all the way up through the spine as you come up. Yeah, just the last one. And come in, just mobilize the head a little bit to the side. It's the shoulder. Working up and down. And then carefully rotating in circles, working one way. Just change the direction so often. And then just looking with the chin coming out and back. Pulling out, pulling back. Good. And take it to the shoulders. And drawing out the elbows. Change in direction. Into the wrists. Change in direction. Spreading opening them out from the palm. And sticking to a rotation, spreading out, opening the hand, rotating back, pulling back to center, switching the sides, just holding a couple of seconds, rotate to the side. Loosen up the arms with the hips. Just open that bit to the side, across the front. And take it to the hips. Change direction. And just keeping the feet a little bit wide. You're working straight into a circle. Just keep it nice and 3. And change direction. And just gently pressing on his back, lengthen down the back of the legs, pulling the toes up towards the face. And just pressing the big toe down, just pulse it down. Just a few times. Press and hold it down. And then just think about spreading the little toe away from the big toe. And spreading all the toes into the ground. Just trying to make the foot as big as possible. And then just bending the knees, just shift the weight into the foot, just allow the toes to just gently relax. And then just think about gripping with the toes. So you're pulling all the toes towards the center of the foot. Pick something up with the toes. And just let them release. And we'll just take the last one just into a wave with the spine. So just feel it passing toes to the top of the head. And just work both ways with it. So that you can pass it one way, you can pass it the other. Just explore. See all the joints being open. Allow them to just flexibly pass the movement up and down, front and back. If you feel any kind of sticking points in the body, just work over them a little bit with that movement. Perfect. Great. Okay, we're doing just a little bit of foundation training. So just take the legs a little bit wider than shoulders. Okay, we're just going to work a little bit of hand position. So for them variations on it. So the one we normally do in a sense is like this one kind of pulling back, hands coming out wide, and then thinking about the hands kind of reaching forward. We'll just start out, just kind of pulling up to center, spreading the shoulders, opening them up. Take a nice deep breath in as you come out. Hips hinge back, hands pull forward. And then nice long breath out as you kind of pull back to center, wide. Again, don't do anything too far outstretched. Just keep it quite contained. Just get the hips firing back. Hips, knees releasing backwards, hands squeezing, activating. And so really thinking about activating the lats, squeezing down a little bit the shoulder, lengthening the spine all the time. Got the deep breaths to really open the rib cage up. Okay. Okay, great. So this exercise actually came from a series which was looking at biking, mountain biking specifically. So there's a position sometimes we talk about with biking, cycling, like you've got the handlebar in the hand, but the feeling like you're trying to break the bar in this case. So it's like the torso goes over the bar, and then the feeling's like strong grip and the sense that you're actually trying to break the bar in this case. So just play with this position. It's like this as you come out into this position. A tight grip here. Really about the grip, but it's also about, again, this part of the body. Think about the shoulders closing. And yeah, it's a little bit like you're trying to bend a bar. If you imagine like having an iron bar or a handlebar on a bike, and just think about the body really activating, pulling in, and the feelings like you're trying to do this. You're trying to squeeze and open in, but you're just going to do it with an isometric, so you're not going to actually shift the hands. And just feel you can kind of also start to shift the weight of the body into it as well. So it's just playing with it. Hips are free, you're able to kind of mobilize with it, but feel that the body's really grounded in the feet. Hips are free to mobilize, and then again, just want to feel a strong back in that position. And then just come out of it. Just a few just coming into it. So just come into it, find it. And you can either come into it in that position, feel everything's active, and then switch. Or just kind of come straight into it from that wide position, come in, squeeze into the grip. So good, strong, full grip, especially for us in terms of weapon work, we're looking at the back of the grip. So we're looking at the little finger, the ring finger, and the thumb and the front fingers just in the grip. That's it, perfect. Great. Good. Very nice. And then we're just looking at another position. So this one, like specifically for us, if you think about when we do tiny hinko, this position. So the feeling in this case is the palms open, really like that kind of shape, but you're starting to kind of open it up. And you're going to start to create like a well in the center of the hand. So again, just go from this position. And again, you can go into this position and then just open out here. But you feel the lats, everything's going to engage down. And the feeling, especially now in this one, is the forearm all the way down the back of the hand out, the fingers, really strong. And also feeling of extension out. So again, just get that position, feel you're kind of comfortable in it, just explore it as a position. And then just start to basically come out of it, pull the body up, breathe out as you come into it, settle into it. And again, either work from that position, feel everything's firing up where you want it, and then drop into it. Come back. Give it a try. Good. Yeah, just this one's especially for us. Notice the hand position. None of these are wrong positions in terms of movement. If you think about being here, this is really going to activate the chest, the pecs, all this area. And if you think about going here, this is going to really spread and open it. So somewhere in between those two, it's where you're kind of active in the front, but it's also got a kind of softness to it. But I don't want to kind of squeeze the arms to the front across the chest. And in this case, I don't want to let the arms kind of wide this way. And so just play this position, and you can either do that in and out of this position, but just feel that the basic alignment in a sense is right down the shoulder and through the elbow and through down through the fingertips. That's kind of where you're looking for. And if I kind of go off this, then I'm going to start to slightly adjust it. None of those are wrong in terms of movement, but I just want to work with the joint in this case where it's going to kind of open directly from the back rather than spreading and rather than containing the body. That's nice. And we'll just do one last position. This one's really for the shoulders and for the back, but it's a nice one to do. It can feel a bit restricted, so I'm going to give you two options for it. So if you start in this position, the hips are going to the hands are going to hook to the hips. Now you're going to get the feelings like you're wrapping the arms from the body, and then you're going to do this movement here to the front. So you're going to kind of press the hands in. The danger with this position is, again, it starts to kind of activate the chest and the shoulders, and this starts to close, which is really not what I want. What you want to think about is like opening around the back of the shoulders. So play with this position. If this feels like it's kind of closing the shoulder too much, play also with this position. You're going to kind of come out, the fingertips are going to link, and then you're going to go to this position. So now you're actively looking for that position, but not to close the shoulder, but to actually open the back. So just play with these two positions. And again, you can do it in this position, hinging the hips back a little bit, or you can do it just in a kind of normal position, kind of just standing up. If you feel any kind of pain in the lower back, just go to this variation. And again, when you're in it, just hold it for a couple of breaths. The idea is really, again, just to open the back. But again, you can do that position, or you can do this, reach out. And the hand position there is just, again, just to open up the back of the shoulders, really create width across the back. And very useful for weapon work, especially bokken work in our case, because it tends to close the shoulders, close the front of the body, and you're really looking to have the back full to counteract that pull. Very good. Here we go. Very nice. Good. And then we just do one, just coming back into that position. So think about spreading, open up the shoulder, reaching forward. Just go back into that basic position, squeezing the hands together. Put a special emphasis on the ring finger and the little finger, squeezing it together. And then you're going to just raise the hands up, just above the forehead. Again, nothing too strenuous. Take a nice deep breath in. Take another breath. And then the next one, open the hands up, reach up a little bit higher. It's like there's something on a high shelf. Try and feel the back of the shoulders again, that whole chain of the body towards the feet is active. And then the next out breath, think about turning the thumbs down, coming down, folding the body forward. And just let the hands reach into the ground. Keep the hips active, a little bit of length down the back of the neck, back of the legs. Take a couple of deep breaths. Good. And then just think about walking the fingers forward, pulling the hips back, lengthening through the body. A couple of deep breaths here. Think about, especially in this position, really breathing into the back of the rib cage. Really open up the back again. Try and create width across the shoulders. Good. Drawing the arms back, just squeezing into that sphere of tension again. Pull the body up, and then you're just going to think about it, keeping one arm extended. We did this one yesterday. Arm extended down, and then reaching forward with the other hand. So both arms are extending, one down to the ground, one out. And keeping the back wide. Reach out and up as far as you can, as high as you can, whilst keeping the shoulder back into the body. And then just squeezing them back into the floor. Spear the tips of the fingers into the ground. Just settle into the feet one more time. And we'll just not do the full rotation. Just think about tracing the hand up to the shoulder. And then bringing it back down. And just do a few on each side. So we're just going to do 3 on each side. Fully up to the shoulder and then fully down. Keeping the spine long all the time. Let the hip activate the motion. And let the upper spine just receive it. Take it to the head. And when you've done 3, just take it to the other side. Nice control, precise moves in and out of it. Good. And then just doing one full motion all the way up and then reaching up and just hold it at the top. And here just play with the head, looking at the hand in the ground, looking at the hand in the ceiling. Hold it for a couple of breaths. Reach the hand down on the out breath. Take it to the side. Reach up. Just play a little bit with the head, looking down, looking up, taking the breaths. And the out breath coming down. Spear the hands into the ground. Really find the feet even, weight. Press into the shin bone. Pull the back up tight. And then the feelings that you're pressing into the feet, really activating the back, especially the glutes. Pull the body all the way up. Keeping a very subtle hinge, just reaching the hands forward. And again, just think about opening the back, spreading the hands, thumbs pointing away from the body. One deep breath. And then release it. Come back to center. And just shake everything out, especially the lower back as well. Release the arms. Great. And then we'll just work with the downswing, so just really releasing the arms. I think about the lower back again, just kind of release it. The key with this is just letting the pelvis basically just sit into the legs. So let the arms release. The feeling really now down. Let all that tension go now. So drop out of the arms, drop out of the shoulders. So the breath's also going to settle. Try and feel the breath really settling down into the belly. So what you're looking for is like belly breathing rather than chest breathing specifically. And as you get into it, just start to release the legs a little bit more, release the knees, release the hips. Let everything just drain down a little bit more. You can even start to kind of release the head as well, coming down. Just take it as dynamically as you like. Great. And then one is just to kind of settle the body a little bit. Place the hands together. Think about really like a wood chopping motion now. So come up to the back. Think about again, just bring in just the right amount of tension into the body now. So I don't want to create it. Just want to kind of find it as you bring the hands up, and then just drop in. So you're just going to kind of roll up. Just going to chop in. Roll up, and then just chop in. And again, just looking for the right amount of tension, not trying to add anything, and definitely not trying to push the hands down. Just trying to drop them in. And the main feeling here again is to feel like the pelvis, the hips, everything just catches the upper body and absorbs it into the ground. So all that motion of the upper body, the arms, torso, the chest, everything's just received from the hip into the pelvis and into the ground. Yeah, just keep going, just a few more. Yeah, great. And again, it's another one very useful for sword. Think about this. This is connected, so this is there, but this is also still flexible. So if you think about doing sword work, I need a lot of mobility in the wrist to kind of mobilize the sword efficiently. So think about that. It's got a pressure there, but I don't want to lock it. Basically, I don't want to lock the. Don't want to brace the wrist basically. So think about the wrists, just be able to come into line, and that's what's going to help with this motion down. So you've got like this flexibility in the wrist, which allows you to again flexibly mobilize the joint system. Just at the right time you want it to, boom, just sit in. That's yeah, good. Very good. And very last one. This is just next. It's just going to bring the hands together in this position. So the key with this one, just start it with the arms, but then we're going to get to really take it to the core of the body. So think about this just as still as a raise, and then dropping in. Okay. What I want you to do this one is focus on the belly, basically dropping into the ground. Again, just think about swinging the arms up and then just dropping in. Now, just give yourself a little bit of time in the down position. Just feel that there's a real sense that you're in the ground, and then you're going to drop in, drop down, and just give yourself a couple of seconds there. Raise up, drop in. So you've got a kind of quite a strong grip, and I'm looking to basically seal like a vacuum in the hands. But I don't want the hands to be the focus of this exercise. This is the danger with this exercise, that it really becomes like a hand exercise. Because it really is a bringing the whole body together. And again, the feeling is that the upper body can just sit onto the lower body and find the ground. Good. Now you might notice if you go down with a little bit of power, you might notice there's a ripple to the motion. Now what you're looking for in this exercise is then not to raise the arms up and down, but to find that feeling here. Yeah, just with that motion. So the lower body, the hips, pelvis, the belly is going to kind of work, and the hands get the feeling is then they just receive it. So it's like you've got the hand there and you're just doing this rather than the hand shaking and then this following it. So the feeling then is really that you're kind of finding an impulse from the core. And yeah, if you kind of lose it, it's nice again just to kind of raise up, drop it. Yeah, feel it. I lose it, or I start to shake the hands. Raise up, drop in, feel that. Raise up, feel that, and then I want to find that impulse and basically just pulse it through the body. But yeah, useful just to play with a little bit. People are afraid to play with this exercise, and then they start doing this because they see the teachers in the front basically shaking the hands, and this exercise gets kind of lost a little bit. So the main idea with this exercise is to work from the center out to the periphery, into the hands specifically. But yeah, it's very easy to kind of lose, very easy to go. Shaking. The Japanese translation of this exercise is soul shaking or spirit shaking. So if the exercise was called hand shaking, would be fine. Shake the hands. But in this case, it comes like soul shaking or spirit shaking or soul shaking. Oh, soul shaking. So this is one of those strange exercises which come from the Shinto line in Japan, but actually a quite nice exercise. Good. And then we just go again to this position, and then this is really just again about mobilizing everything. Press into the hands a little bit, and just feel that you can again just motivate the core of the body and let the hands follow. And again, very easy in this case for the hands to start to go, and then my sensor gets kind of pulled out. Think about just that kind of motion. I'm just going to kind of play with like a figure of 8 pattern, and the key pattern in the sense is that the palms are able to kind of rotate over. Key thing for us again, like sword work, is also think about a spinal spiral passing through the forearm. So again, not really about the hand, but about the connection of the center to the elbow to the forearm. And then again, when you've got it, just play with it a little bit. Think about raising up, pressing down. You can raise up to the center. But again, just try and feel that everything's motivating from the center in and outside the movement, especially if I reach out, tendencies to then pull the hands back. Think about the hips, drawing the hands back. It's a bit like a kind of yo-yo. So you pull it out, you pull it back. Pull it out, pull it back. And all the time just exploring and rotation movements, spiral movements. Kind of a nice one to the sword work as relation to the sword work, because the hands are kind of fixed in one position, working together, which is where you basically are with the sword. And then last one, just play with the feet. So bringing that into it. And again, very easy now for the feet to start to lead and that start to lose that feeling. So think about the center, the body basically pressing a foot, find a foot and then let the other release, go somewhere else. And at the same time, you're trying to keep that motion going. So again, the general idea in this is just looking for the center to control the periphery. And in this case, going into walking, stepping, turning, however you want to go with it. And obviously at the same time working with the hands. And this is why spiral movements or spiral patterns are really nice images to work with, because they work up and down the body. And one end of the spiral affects the other end of it. So we're looking to do bring the body together again. And then last exercise, before we go to sword, just think about splitting the grip. So you could do this either way, but think about just the right hand basically on top. Now I want the same kind of idea, like the hands are basically tied together. Now the danger is with this exercise, one hand starts to lead. So because I'm right-handed, most of us are, the right hand tends to start to kind of want to do everything. And then the left hand's getting like dragged behind it. So think about both hands just being active and neither one is going to lead, but think about the point in between the two hands, the space in between the two hands, kind of controlling it. So you can either do two things. You can imagine the sword in the hands, like a very, very light sword. or you can just think about the hands directly, just kind of talking to each other basically. And again, just play with the feet, play with the feeling of it. If it feels connected, just start to kind of go into raising patterns, cutting patterns, slicing patterns. And then the key again, it's always kind of pulled back to the center of the body, controlling the periphery, or guiding the periphery is probably a better way to put it. Yeah, nice. Yeah, slightly one danger with this exercise. I mean, apart from the fact that I've not got weight in the arms, apart from burning, if I've got weight in the arms, I really get feedback on the front of the body. Now, if the whole body is, let's say, really loose and without tensioning, when I add weight, everything starts to kind of fall apart. So look for, in this case, in a way, so it sort of mirrors the way the sword is set up. It's like you want a kind of hard back side of the body, like a full back side of the body, and then you want the front of the body to be kind of soft. I don't want the back to be soft as well in this case. So if something like this is happening, then I want to slightly more like feel that the back's actually really full, strong, and then this front side of the body can kind of become softer. And so the fuller the back is in feeling, not necessarily that I'm bracing the back, but the feeling that the back's kind of wrapping the front of the body. And then just play with it. And again, the sword's going to kind of challenge that ability to keep the back full, because the weight's going to start to come to the front. All the activities in the front of the body. But again, just feel that the back can really fill, and include with that also the back of the legs, the back of the hips, the back of the head, the neck. That's that. It's this like wrapping from the back, this feeling of the back wrapping the front. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, good. Right. Good, and then just grab a sword. So we'll go into the same exercise. So again, just find that grip, natural grip in terms of it. And you can just play with it as a progression. You can think, if you kind of feel the weight starts to drag you out, just pull back into kind of standing position. And again, you're just trying to feel that the core of the body can initiate, and that the hands, the sword, just receive it. Okay? And again, once you kind of feel comfortable, just start to play with moving with it. So very simple movements, just to get the feeling of the weight now in the hands. And again, that sense that the back can stay full. Front of the body softens. And again, when it feels comfortable, just start to play with the sword a little bit. Let it come up, let it come down, let it go to the side. And very easy now to start to go into cutting motions, slicing motions. But then as you do that, just always pulling back to this idea, center, guiding that periphery of the body. In this case, really the center, trying to guide the sword. Walking. Good. Great. Nice. Okay, then this is the same exercise. It's just again, it adds a different element to it and a different kind of way of looking at the exercise, which is nice to play with sometimes. It's the idea that rather than the center's controlling the sword, that the sword's controlling the center. Okay, so it needs to feel a little bit like the sword's got a life of its own, and it's like pulling away from the body. Now, the key with this exercise, this is from Peter Alston, who wrote like the Bible on internal art kind of training in terms of this, and he calls it basically taking the stick for a walk. So my image of this is like I've got a dog on a lead, and it's like in control, and it's kind of pulling me away. Okay, so the key with this exercise is let the sword kind of work. It needs to be a little bit looser with the grip, and I need to basically feel the weight of the sword start to kind of draw out, down, all these kind of positions, and feel that the body's basically going to always like glue behind that motion. So it's a tricky one because you're actually doing the motion, obviously, but the feeling is that the sword's basically going on its own, and then I'm trying to basically match the body behind it. So the key feeling with this one, where this exercise actually is very useful, is the feeling the body's constantly shifting to be behind the weapon. Okay, and that's the position you're always really looking for with the sword. There are exceptions, obviously, in terms of position, but as a general rule, you're looking to basically always be with the feeling behind the weapon, the body glued underneath. And again, I want to feel that the body's able to mobilize freely in any direction. The other way to do this exercise, which is more honest, is to basically have somebody else take the tip of the sword and guide it around for you. Yes, you actually give the control away to somebody else, but it's possible just to play with, but it's just going to this little bit, this idea like you've got a sword which is moving on itself, and I'm just trying to fit in my movement with it. No, that's yeah, jump, great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Very good. No, that's perfect. Yeah, and then the other one with this, just don't do, we won't do this for a long time because the tendency to get really dizzy with it. Just look at the tip of the sword as you do it. So only look at the tip. Basically, all my focus goes to the tip, and I just work with movement with it. Now it can go in and out of the vision in the sense that it's going to kind of go to the side this way, but just keep always an eye on the sword as it goes. So don't do this for a long time because the tendency is to get a little bit like tunnel vision. But it's a nice one again. Just play with it as the sword comes up, as it comes down. Again, just the body's ability to just switch the focus, stay in, move with it, and notice when it does come out of vision, just kind of catch it again. Okay. So just play just a little bit with this one. Definitely if you experience any kind of dizziness or vertigo, come out of it. Especially not one good to do with a katana. So, yeah, good. That's it. And then just come back to kind of a wider focus. Now, the key is to basically come back to an idea where the sword just really feels part of the body. So again, just go back to the movement and feel that I'm not focusing on the tip. I'm not focusing on really anything apart from looking out with the body. Okay, and then again, just play with movement. Now, specifically in this one, just start to play with the sword raising out of vision, especially the tip, coming down. And again, just notice now that the peripheral vision, keep the sword in view. But notice there are times, especially when the sword's really coming up above the head, where that really is limited and you really can't see it. Okay, and now it's just knowing where the sword is in space, wherever you. And again, the idea now is to really not only link the sword into the body, really feel that it's connecting into the body, but also explore this idea of the vision can now be much wider, much more open and softer in terms of basically the eyes, basically soften down a little bit. And the idea is basically to drop out of the head, basically go to the core of the body fully and really attach the sword into that feeling. Just playing with raising. Let's explore a little bit of slicing work. Also nice to kind of add in a little bit of rotation work. Very good. So that's very nice. And keep that motion going. We'll just play every so often, just work with the first suburi. So the idea is really to entrain the sword into the body. And then the feeling is that every so often what you want to do is just pause, settle, find the back, cut in. Now, if you feel that's really connecting, you want to stay, just hold it for a couple of times. But especially if you feel it's kind of getting disconnected or where my attention goes, just drop out of it. Come back to movement a little bit. And again, just look to, I see him training the body, the sword into the body. And again, as long as I can keep that feeling, just start to enter into a really clear 𝘱𝘭𝘪𝘦𝘳. Just explore a little bit. Especially with that 𝘱𝘭𝘪𝘦 pattern, sword's really coming out of focus, really out of view. That really becomes the focal point for the exercise. If I can kind of maintain that focal feeling with the sword. 10 cuts, 20 cuts, that's a good thing. You might be able to get it for 2 cuts. It might just be 1. Great. And then take the same exercise, work with, in this case, give yourself freedom to work with, in this case, Zengo. So thinking about cutting front and back. But again, if you feel really connecting into it, also start to kind of open the pattern out. So you can take it to like 4 directions. Don't think about any kind of specific in terms of directions. The key thing is the body's able to, again, mobilize with the sword. With the sword, and if I feel like it, take it there. Take it. And again, just focus on that feeling of connection. And as soon as it kind of drops lower than like 60–70%, it's kind of okay to work with. If anything below that, and I feel it's really also I'm kind of distracted with it, just drop back out of it, try and find the feeling again, connect in, and then go. And then so as long as you can keep that connection work, just keep going with it. Good. Yeah, very nice. Good, great. And then keep playing with those patterns, but also now add in number 2, so the second 𝗧𝗪𝗏. And this really, in a sense, is working two things. It's working the whole body, in a sense, coming back, straight back and straight forward. So it's really working that direction now in terms of stepping. The other element's really the up and down to it. So what you want to feel with this again is that the connection is able to really maintain all the time up through this. Okay, the big weakness in that move is the body starts to raise out of the ground and then try and settle. So again, just play with it. Keep working again. You can work with number 1. You can work with 𝗧𝗪𝗏 or 𝘭𝘪𝘅, and you can now just bring in number 2. Settling into it. And just play with them. And again, once I feel the connection starts to go lower than where I really want to work with, just come back to the movement, connecting into the sword, and then play with it. Good. Good. Okay, we'll leave number 3 out for now. We'll bring it back in maybe at the end, but think about now going to number 4, which is basically, it's just going to give you the option now to step through left and right from here. But again, keep playing with those patterns. You've got number 1, you've got 𝑧𝗪𝗏, 𝘭𝘪𝘅, you've got number 2, pulling back and up. And then in this case, number 4, think about stepping with it as well. Just stepping freely left and right. Still all working 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝗏. And it's very easy now starts to go into 𝘥𝘢𝘪𝘐. Just try and track it to a 𝑚 straight through the center line. And hopefully, as you get kind of more connected into this, the more cutting you do, quality cutting in terms of movement, and the less you need to kind of pull back into the mobilizing. But again, if you feel it drops below the standard there, what I really want to work with, just go back into mobilizing again. The key thing with all this, you're only ever really training connection work. So whatever you do with it, you can train connection. That's nice. And if any one of those movements starts to really like stick out in terms of connection work, just stick to it for a while. Keep going into it, and then. Good. Good. And again, last minute or so, just stick to cutting, but just think about, just stand a little bit more focused on it. So if you think about 1, 2, and 4, and Zengo, really think about settling into the cut. Give yourself a bit of space and then change. Settle into the cut. So you're looking at just go into a still position and then just move. Mobilize into the cut. Just move. Mobilize into the cut here. Just move. Mobilize into a cut. Just start to cut freely. Don't worry too much about showing your comment. Just doing that about that. Even get the score. Give yourself a little bit more of an impulse through the focus. That's good. Very good. And last 20 seconds or so, just find a shoulder width position. Just release the grip out. Let the weight just hang into the fingers. And just let the shoulders release down. Think about a little bit spreading them out to the sides. Releasing the elbows. Gently pulling the head long. Just looking for an even movement through the body. Just think that's that feeling where the center is able to just kind of pulse the movement through the body. Gentle kind of heartbeat feeling through this from the center. Okay. Great. Very good. We will stop right there. Great. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okie doke. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We go.